So today's video we're looking at measuring and constructing angles. And just to give a real brief lesson or reminder about angles, we have four different types of angles. We have our acute angles, which are smaller, between 0 and 90 degrees. We have our right angles, which are denoted by this, and that box in the middle on the angle, and that is a right, and it's exactly 90 degrees. Then we have obtuse angles, which are between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. And then we have straight angles, which are exactly 180 degrees. So using that, we can classify angles as acute, right, obtuse, or straight. And that can come in handy when using a protractor, because if you look at a protractor, which if you don't know what a protractor is, it looks something like this, and then there's angle markings all the way around the outside. They're going to have angles of both. They'll have two angles per each mark, and one will be the opposite. So like one will be 70 and the other will be 110, and so on. And if you're measuring an angle, you have to look and know, well, this is an obtuse angle, so it's obviously going to be the one over 90 degrees. So that's just one way to use that. And then you can also just classify triangles as obtuse, right, or acute, or straight, just by getting an example of their degrees. And so here I want to show you how we write angles. So let's say that we have an angle here of ABC. If we're talking about this angle right in here, we denote it as angle ABC, where the vertex is in the middle of the three letters, or the 3 points. And another way we could write it as CBA, because the vertex is still in the middle of the 3 points. But we could not write it as angle BAC or angle CAB, or so on and so on. We can't write it like that. The vertex always has to be in the middle of the 3 points when you're denoting it with, when you're labeling them. And so let's look at an example here. So let's say you have an angle ABC, and then BD, B to D, bisects it, intersects it. And then they tell you in the problem that the measure, and we say measure by putting a little m in front, of ABD equals 37 degrees. And the measure of angle ABC equals 84 degrees. And they want you to find the measure of angle DBC. So, if you look here, this angle plus this angle will equal the whole angle. So how do we kind of write that in a formula? It would be the measure of angle DBC for this first angle, plus the measure of angle ABD, this angle, will equal the measure of the whole thing, which is ABC. And that is called the angle addition postulate. And now we can go ahead and substitute in and solve. So the measure of angle ABD is 37 degrees. The measure of angle ABC is 84 degrees. And we don't know DBC, that's what we're trying to find, so we're going to call it X. Now we can solve this by subtracting both sides. And we're going to get x is equal to, x is equal to 47 degrees. And so we know that the measure of angle DBC equals 47 degrees. So right here is 47 degrees, here's 37 degrees, and then the whole thing will be 84 degrees, because when you add those together you'll get 84 degrees. So that's when angles intersect. Now what about bisect? Bisect is where they cut it into two equal parts. Bi is 2, and the two equal parts is the key thing. So let's say again we have angle ABC and then BD bisects it. So whenever they tell you that BD bisects it, before even looking at the problem, you know that these two angles are going to be equal. And we denote two angles being equal by them having the same marking like this. Okay? That's how, when you see that, you can see that these two angles are going to be equal. If they're different, one will have one part of a circle and the other one will have two. But in our case here, they're both equal. So we're going to leave it with one half circle, or part of a circle. They're just congruent angles, and they're called arc marks. So the other ones were called tick marks. These are called arc marks. So when we're going to a problem, you'll see that these two will have the same arc mark, so they are congruent. Now let's go ahead and look at the problem. So the measure of angle ABD is equal to 6x plus 3 degrees. And yes, variables will come into play a lot in geometry. And the measure of angle DBC is equal to 8x minus 7 degrees. And they want you to find the measure of angle ABC. So we know ABD and we know DBC. So this one is 6x plus 3 degrees, and this one is 8x minus 7 degrees. So if we're using the angle addition postulate, we could add them together, but then what would we set it equal to? We don't know what it's supposed to equal, so we can't do much with that. But since we're going off of what we know, we need to see that these two are equal because they're the same angle, because BD bisects. So we just set them equal to each other. So 6x plus 3 equals 8x minus 7. So 6x plus 3, we can just start solving. Let's add 7 to both sides. And I trust your algebra skills, so in the same time we can subtract 6x. So this cancels. Here we're left with 10. Here we're left with 2x, and this cancels. So we can divide by 2, and we'll get 5 is equal to x. Now we're not done, because we weren't told to find x. We were told to find the measure of angle ABC. So the measure of ABC is going to be, as we know, the sum of the two because of the angle addition postulate. So let's find how many degrees this angle is. So 6x, instead of x we're going to have 5, plus 3. That's going to equal 30, plus 3, which is equal to 33. So this one is 33 degrees, ABD. Let's look at the other one. 8 times 5, instead of x we're putting 5, minus 7. We're going to get 40 minus 7, and that equals 33. And we know they're supposed to be the same because that's one way we can check if we got the right answer, is when we plugged in if we got the same. So that means that the entire angle is the sum of that. So 33 degrees plus 33 degrees is going to get us 66 degrees. So the whole thing, the measure of angle ABC, is going to be equal to 66 degrees. So there's just a quick introduction to measuring angles. There's some great applications of this, and we're going to build and build and build on this until we're able to just use all these facts like we've used them our whole lives, and they're just going to be stuck in your brain. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments, or you can swing by my website, check out more videos, request more videos, get some tutoring. So thank you for watching.